I usually get the after lunch time when I do meetings, and that's way worse because that's when people tend to start to tail off. So at least I got you while you're eating. So hopefully you guys are still awake. Do you anybody remember me, or I know a couple of you do? Has anybody else heard me speak before? All of you? So I can't tell the same jokes. Okay. So I asked a few of you before while you guys were grabbing your lunch. Does anybody get bothered by like pictures of cuts and stuff like that? If you do, I'll warn you. Raise your hand. I'll warn you because I'm going to show you. If anybody absolutely can't stand that kind of thing, it's okay. You're all right. You're good. All right. Cool. Well, I'll get started, and I'm glad to once again be part of your safety meeting, and that's something that I've dedicated my entire career to, is to help organizations find ways to have not have any accidents, not have injuries. And this last year for us at PJ was a good year. We didn't have a ton of frequency and not a lot of severity, so something's working. I think we can always get better, and that's what we're going to continue to do, is to try to find ways to point out hazards, talk to each other, figure out how we can avoid having problems before they happen, and get them engineered out and move forward. But it's a constant learning process. Safety is the kind of thing where you're never quite there. You never make it. Even if you're having 0 accidents, you have to be on your guard. I work with a lot of organizations that have gone many years without a lost time accident, large organizations. And that's always kind of hanging over your head. You always have to focus. You have to look at it as a daily task. It's just just as important as doing your work. So that's where we want you to get thinking today. And we're just going to run through some slides and get everybody kind of warmed up to these topics. Some of this might be a little repetitive. Most of it is new material that I'm bringing out for you guys today. By the way, I'm also going to need a couple volunteers later. I'm going to show you how electricity runs through your body. And I won't hurt anybody, so I'm going to need a couple of you guys to come up. So I'll start thinking about who wants to do that. Otherwise, I'll have to pick somebody. So, should we get started? Let's do it. So, just to give you a little bit of statistics and looking at how and why things happen year over year. And really, there's a lot of stuff going on out there. On an average day across the country, there's 50,000 accidents, about 33,000 claims, about 20 deaths. I think some of those are work-related, some of them are motor vehicle-related, that type of thing. So things are happening, and it's at a really large cost to society, the people, the families, that type of thing. So we need to work hard on this, and we need to focus on it. One of the things that I talk about all the time is this 331 idea. And what that means is, for every 300 near misses you have, and a near miss is something when you're going down the road or you're walking through the shop here and you kind of stumble and you don't fall. That's kind of what we call a near miss. Or something's going on with your work and you almost get hit by something. Does that ever happen to anybody? You guys afraid to raise your hand? I kind of pick on you. It happens, yeah. So that kind of stuff should be telling you a story. When those things happen, it should tell you that something else is going to happen. So for every 300 of those near misses you get 30 minor incidents and 1 serious accident. So knowing that, what should we do? How should we work on this stuff? What should we try to avoid first when we're trying to reduce accidents? Yeah, get rid of the near misses. We get rid of those, we're going to bring the statistics down. Okay? So why do we need a safety program? Why is this stuff important? We're seeing this more and more out there with our large customers wanting to know about our safety. And they want to know how we're doing. They want to know how many incidents we're having. Our insurance arrangement also wants to know how many incidents we're having. Why would all these companies and organizations and that want to know about our accidents, things we're having here? Why do they care? Could be. Some of it could be financial related. They want to make sure that they're working with organizations that get it, that are doing the right things. And all you guys get it, you're on the same page. So it's an insurance requirement, captive requirement, it's a uniform source for your operation. Provides us with compliance, and most importantly, it's our people. Trying to get our people home better than they came to work. And really that's what the whole goal of this stuff is, also to get you going back home in the same or better condition. So Do you think if we just comply with the basic regulations, our workplace is going to be safe? What do you guys think about that idea? If we just comply with OSHA regulations, will we have a safe workplace? No. And the reason being is because there's so much more out there. Almost all the accidents that we have are behavioral. How many of you or any family members have ever had a vehicle accident? Okay? Whether it was your fault or not, it was a behavior-driven event. I'll guarantee it. You could say, well, it was snowing, or it was raining, or it was hailing, or whatever, foggy, or whatever. Those are conditions, and that could have been a part of the causal factor, but the ultimate cause was an act. Somebody did something wrong. So anytime you look at an incident out there, and when you think about it, whether it happens to you or somebody else, it's something we did. Something was avoidable, something preventable. Okay? Does OSHA penalize workers? No, they penalize organizations. And actually, I'm working on a case right now with an organization that just received a $1.78 million citation, which is it's unprecedented. It's very large. It's one of some of the largest. Kyle, or what? Largest citations out there? 50 million.
For this year, yeah. Otherwise, EP is a big 50s and 90s.
Yeah, so this is a Wisconsin-based organization, $1.7 million. The reason why they got that high of a citation, these are willful citations. What it means is they knew what was wrong, but they didn't fix it. So basically they're telling OSHA, we don't care. So when I talk to you guys, and when we say, hey, there's some things we got to fix, or some things we got to watch out for, or correct, that's important that we do it. Because when we fix those things and we correct them, we can show that, hey, we're concerned about safety. We want to fix, we want to correct, we want to make things better. Okay? Do OSHA compliance officers get a percentage of the penalties collected? No. Some people, these are myths. Some people think accidents are caused by carelessness. Or that person didn't have any common sense. I disagree. I think that a lot of times common sense is something that everyone has a different level of common sense. Did you ever work with somebody and you thought they were kind of like a dumbass? Well, what happens is they have a different level of common sense than you. You guys don't answer that because you're sitting all the people you work with. But in all seriousness, everybody has a different level of training and education on a topic specific to safety and that type of thing. So we have to remember that they're not everybody here is going to know it all. Even if you're 40, 50, 60 years old, you still don't know it all. You know, and a lot of the amputations that I've investigated over time relate back to people that got something amputated at work, and they weren't 20. They weren't fresh into the workforce. They were 50. Why did the 50-year-old get hurt with an amputation at work? Why do you think that happens? They know what they're doing. They're good, smart. You get complacent. So there's a couple of those guys walking around like this that happened when they were 50. So I'm going to show you some pictures of how some of those happen if you guys are interested in that. We'll get to it in a bit. These are some of the fatalities. And again, if you guys remember my last field, I've investigated 130 workplace fatalities in my 27 years doing this. And then thousands of serious accidents and injuries. I used to travel the country with an insurance company where I'd go out and investigate these things. And so I collect a lot of pictures, a lot of stories, and when I share things like that with people, I do it not to freak you out or to make you uncomfortable. I do it so you can learn. Because I'd rather do 100 of these meetings than ever go back and do another one of those investigations. Because it doesn't make sense. You guys probably wouldn't want to attend 100 of these meetings, but you might. So just a little bit on cost, and again, this is kind of a businessy thing, but I think it's important for all people in an organization to realize this, that if we have a claim, and we say we base our organization on a 5% profit margin, I'm just guessing, let's say we're a 5% profit margin, and we have a $100,000 claim, it's pretty easy to get to a $100,000 claim. If we have that $100,000 claim and a 5% profit margin, what does that chart tell you? How much sales do we need to cover the cost of that claim? See it? $2 million bucks. So what that tells us in that scenario, again, it's just in any average company, you have to sell $2 million worth of stuff to make up for that claim. So that's why this stuff's also important, besides getting you home in one piece and better than it came, is, you know, it takes a long time to sell $2 million worth of stuff. That's wasteful. To have to sell $2 million worth of stuff, and then to have to pay an accident or an accident with that one. So I thought that was interesting just to point out. But, so basically there's a lot of hidden costs of accidents out there. I'm starting to warm you up with some of my pictures here. Some of the hidden costs of accidents out there are basically time off from the work. You know, they get paid workers' comp, but what happens is you only get a portion of your wage, and so you're not made whole completely, even though you get a portion of your wage. Your fellow employees that are off, they have to investigate, they have to help out, they have to pitch in, you have to hire somebody else, a supervisor coming over to do the job that maybe they wouldn't normally do. So lost production, overtime, all these things lead up to some of those costs that I kind of referred back to that are not covered by insurance, and things that we should be concerned about. Because everybody likes good benefits, and everybody likes raises, and everybody likes all the things that go along with working for a great company that you guys have. In order for the organization to be able to supply that, they have to really look at expenses, and this is just one area. So why do these things happen, and who do they happen to? About 20%, actually about 80% of all the accidents occur within the first 12 months of doing a new task. So think about this. You can be any age, so you're doing something new. About 80% of the incidents come back to the people that are just new to doing it. So when you hire somebody, and somebody's working next to you, you should really take the time to make sure they know what they're doing and they're comfortable. Because if they're not, it could cause you a problem too. Same thing with like a new driver. Why do they charge more for new drivers? Lack of experience, right? Why do insurance companies give discounts to new drivers? What do they give them discounts for? Somebody said grades. What else? Why do they give you a discount for a grade? Why do you think? Shows either perceived or sometimes not real, but shows more responsibility, right? Why do they charge you more if you get a few tickets? Risk of that. So it's the risk pendulum, right? So that's really what I'm trying to get across to as well. There's also expenses and things related to having incidents, related to, you know, being a good actor and not having problems, being a bad actor and having issues. So here's what I believe, and again, these are based on my 27 years doing this, looking at a lot of serious incidents and fatalities, why accidents happen. So think about your role in your organization when you look at these. Time pressure. What does that mean? We're under a time pressure to get something out the door. That's when I see bad things happen. Does that ever happen here where you get under time pressure, where you got to get something done right away, it's behind? That's when we got to think. We have to work together, ask questions, think. Vague guidance. What that means is, you know, you say, hey, Carlos, go over here and do that job there. You know what you're doing, right? Go do that. And you're like, I've never done that before. I don't know what that is. That is vague guidance. So we have to make sure we're clear with our guidance when we're talking to people what we want from them, okay? After a wake up or a meal, somebody, you guys don't take naps here, do you? You about ready to? After wake up or a meal, after you eat, your body is reacting to the food, it's digesting, it's doing different things inside. People think differently. See a lot of accidents after a meal. First time you do it, first time evolution, overconfidence. I talked about that before, saying, you know what, I've been doing this for 35 years, you don't know anything, I know it all, I know what I'm doing. Overconfidence, I see that a lot of incidents occur from that, especially driving. Distractive environment, high workload, or first day after time off. So say you're on a vacation, 10-day vacation in Florida, you come back, your likelihood of having an incident is much higher that first day back than it was before you left. So these are some of the facts that I see out there from causation and how we can avoid that. So some facts on incidents, and again, not that I'll give you a ton of statistics, but I want you to realize a couple things on here. Basically, I'm really passionate about preventing workplace falls, whether that's from the same surface or from a ladder or from a mezzanine or something like that. Those are horrific accidents. Many of them are not survivable. And if you're standing on the top step of a step ladder, which is a 6-foot ladder, your head height is about 11 feet. If you fall and land on a hard surface, you got about a 50% chance of fatal if you fall off that ladder and land on your head. People don't realize that even a 4-foot ladder is a lethal weapon if you're standing on the top step. So those are things that, again, little things, but they mean so much. And again, like I said, I'm passionate about trying to avoid that. If you ever find yourself in the top step of a ladder, you should have that little voice in the back of your mind to tell you that this is not right. If it doesn't feel right, does anybody ever get that in their work or at home? You're up on a ladder doing something, you get that little voice in the back of your head that says, I shouldn't be doing this. And what do?
Keep doing it.
Yeah, that's normal. That's what human reaction is like, this doesn't feel right. Well, I'm almost done, so I'm gonna keep doing it. I can tell you, that's when a lot of the big ones happen, is when you get to that fork in the road and you say, this doesn't feel right, or I should go do something different, and you keep going down that this doesn't feel right path, that's when bad things happen. So we want to keep you in one piece. So it's unsafe acts and unsafe conditions, where we pound this in everybody's head. 90% of all the incidents out there are due to things we do as people. 90%. So we need to really focus as a group, focus in on reducing the acts, the things that we're doing out on the job, and watch out for each other. How about this? Did you ever walk past somebody, you see them doing something, and you just walk past and you kind of cringe or you shake your head and you keep going? It's another thing we do as people. We don't stop and say, hey, maybe we should look at a different way of doing this. What do you think? Why do we not want to talk to people about when they're doing something that we don't think maybe was right? Why do we not want to say anything?
Bloodlust.
What's that?
Bloodlust.
So they're going to come back and say what? We don't have to say the words, but mind your own business or something like that. So we want to build our culture differently so that we can talk to each other about anything when it's safety related. If someone says to you, hey, I don't like the way that looks, let's do something different, your attitude and culture here at your organization should be like, all right, let's do it. And if you can get to that point, you're really going to make a big impact on your incidents in your facility, because then instead of just a few people looking out for safety, you got everybody doing it. So I'll ask you a question. Who here thinks that there's somebody else looking out for their safety more than them? Nobody? That's good. You guys are way ahead of where most of the organizations I work with. A lot of places I go, I'll ask that question, and people will say, well, it's the HR manager, or it's not. You have the ultimate responsibility for your own safety. We can give you ideas, rules, training, talking, get you thinking. But ultimately, for that 8 hours or more that you're here, it ultimately is on you. So we need you all to be on that same page, okay? So it's the acts. It's 90% of what we're doing. So some of the things that I've seen out there, again, are horrible, not survivable. When forklifts tip over, people die. Why do people die when forklifts tip over?
They fall underneath it.
Right. They're not buckled in. If they have their seatbelt on, again, I've investigated about 70 workplace forklift fatalities. 7. Not one. I've also investigated forklift tip overs. Those people survived. Not one fatality from when the person was buckled in. So that's why we talk about wearing seatbelts. It's good for you. If that thing tips over, and again, it's highly unlikely in your environment here, but it can happen. If it does, you're going to survive. Well, I'm on and off it 25 times a day, Chad. What the heck do you think I'm going to do? Sit and just put it on and off 25 times? Yeah, I do. Because that time it tips over and you're not buckled in, you're going to die. If you're buckled in, you're not. This was from California. I'll never forget this one. This was, I got a couple pictures of this with the people trying to see what's on the mast on the front of the forklift, and as they're trying to look, they bend forward and their thigh hits the down lever, and basically the mast comes around the head. So some of the new equipment has the hydraulics kick out and get off the seat. Most equipment doesn't. So So when you stand above the seat of the forklift and you're at the end of the fork, you better be thinking about where your thigh is.